Weirdly, the very last thing I wanted to do was to reach out to a charity. In fact, it just didn't even enter my mind. I was suggested that I got in touch with a charity by a very dear friend of mine, and I was actually really cross with him for suggesting it to begin with, because I didn't understand why he'd asked me to reach out to a charity for cancer. 4 days of being indignant it took to come across the fact that actually that's what I was dealing with. And maybe it was a good idea, because this friend of mine had never given me wrong information before, and so I did in fact reach out to the charity, first time ever. It was actually Maggie's at Oxford that I walked into, and oh my gosh, it took all my bravery to do that, because that wasn't the kind of thing I'd done before. But goodness me, I'm so glad I did. For sure, 365 days of messages would never have come about without them. They didn't have any input into that, but what they did give me was peace of mind and a little bit of space in my head for other things to start creating and start to percolate, and little ideas to start to arrive. And I didn't feel stressed and worried while I was going through treatment. To get that kind of support is enormous. So I would encourage any of you that are teetering or just thinking absolutely plain, no, I'm not going to a charity. You know, Mind do a great amount of work, and I work with the Lindengate Centre. They do an amazing amount of work. There's so many of them. Don't be frightened to just reach out. If it's just a phone call in the first instance to set up a meeting, or some of these places are great with you just walking in the door. Whichever suits you best, I just urge you to go ahead and do that and see what happens. Go in with no expectations, which is what I did. I just walked in, I was handed a cup of tea and just sat and had a chat, and I was handed a book actually by a lady that was in there, and I hadn't been able to read while I was going through treatment. I didn't feel great, but she gave me this book which changed my life completely. So that was the first thing Maggie's did for me, and then things tumbled on from there, and now I've got a big involvement with them, and I just praise them for the work they do. As with all the other charities that I've come across, they're all out there doing fabulous work. So take a look at all the details below, see what works for you, and don't be frightened of picking the phone up or just stepping through the front door, and just see what happens. The good thing is, if you don't like it, you don't have to go back, but I'm guessing that you'll just gain a little bit of something, and that's everything when you're going through a tough time. One step at a time, always. Wishing you well.